Today's HRM chapter discussion is about chapter 4, which tackles the analysis and design of work. The first section of this chapter will discuss the analysis of work process within a given work unit, particularly. So, having provided an understanding of the broader context of the jobs, the chapter will discuss the need for the usefulness of both job analysis and the techniques for performing jobs. And then finally, the final chapter discussion will conclude by presenting the various approaches to job design to provide managers with understanding of the cost and benefits of emphasizing different characteristics of jobs when designing or redesigning them. Now, our aim and objectives for the learning objectives for this chapter is that uh, it it will give us analysis and analyze an organization structure and workflow process, identify the output activities and inputs in the production of a product or service, understand the importance of job analysis in strategic and human resource management, and another objective is choose the right job analysis technique for a variety of human resource activities. And the chapter will also give us a better understanding on identifying the task performed and the skills required on a given job. The chapter will also help us comprehend the trade-offs among the various approaches to designing jobs. And there's one case that I will be sharing right now. It's the designed to be number one. It is Toyota and BMW. It's a car company. Now, the Toyota surpassed General Motors as far as performance and as far as the world top auto producers in the first quarter of 2007. Then, the role of organizational design and job design are the keys to success for Toyota's rise to the top. Now, each job has a meticulously designed list of details outlining what needs to be done in order to produce a quality product in an efficient manner. In contrast to Toyota's approach, BMW, however, is considered polar opposites due to their strategy to simplify and standardize procedures and decision making. So you see the difference between the two styles and strategies of operations. Now, BMW has a flat hierarchical structure that is structured around the cellular networks that are in constant change, the dynamism that is integrated in the process. This design allows BMW to leverage knowledge quickly to solve problems and manage the complexities that exist within the company. What does it mean? So, therefore, employees are given a wide range of responsibilities and autonomy to decide on matters. Toyota, on the other hand, had a strict, detailed, and formalized hierarchy that is closely followed, and they're very strict about it. What does it mean? Employees have a limited range of responsibility due to their belief in solving problems using only the best way, the best one way. And while Toyota has taken the title of number one in terms of volume, BMW remains number one in terms of profit. So the difference is that more workload, but they're number one in performance. But then apparently, the output of having a profitable business is with Toyota, having to have that kind of process and strategy. Now, okay, so that is a very good example of the differentiation between Toyota and BMW, giving emphasis to different procedures based on the analysis and the design of work that they are installing and operating in their own businesses. Okay, the way a firm competes can have a profound impact on the way tasks are organized, and the way the tasks are designed may provide the company with a competitive advantage. Also, the way jobs are designed can, in fact, affect company work unit performance. And there is no one best way to design jobs and structure organizations. Now, the organization needs to create a fit between its environment, its competitive strategy, even, and philosophy, on the other hand, with its job and organizational design on the other. So, job analysis and job design are interrelated somehow. Yeah, that's it. No? So, now in the workflow analysis and organization structure, uh, it is the outputs, process, and inputs, no, that are being given emphasized. Now, what is workflow design? So, according to the definition, it is the process of analyzing the task necessary for production of a product or service prior to allocating and assigning this task to a particular job, category, or person or employee. So that is workflow design. Now, the organizational structure is defined as the relatively stable and the formal network of vertical and horizontal interconnections among jobs that constitute the organization. Now, the workflow analysis, it is a process actually, that is useful because it provides a means for the managers to understand all the tasks required to produce a high quality product as well as the skills necessary to perform those given tasks. Now, how do we analyze outputs, work outputs? So, analyzing work outputs are products. First, what is work outputs? Work outputs are products of or services provided by and a work unit, existence in an organization. Example, a work output for General Motors is a new Buick as a car. Buick off the assembly line. So therefore, a work output for Gordon Landscaping, however, is a mound loan. Landscaping company is a mound loan. So that's the services that it has rendered. Now, once output had been identified, it is necessary to specify the standards for the quantity or quality of these outputs. Now, there are companies or there are divisions, and there are areas. Now, for example, productivity measurement and evaluation system are being engaged. It has a it is a productivity improvement technique that focuses attention on both identifying work units and outputs and specific specify specifying levels specifying levels of required performance for different level of efficiency. So there's a level range now upon you know the outputs. Now, how do we analyze work processes? So, work processes are the activities that members of a work unit engage into produce a given output. Now, an example is that work processes needed to produce an automobile include assembly, painting, and so forth. And every process consists of operating procedures that specifically specify how things should be done to develop the product or service. So that is a good example of analyzing work process. Okay, analyzing work inputs. So how do we do that? So work inputs are the ingredients that go into the work processes and can be broken down into three categories. So what are these? So number one, it's raw material, consists of the materials, data, and information that will be converted into the work unit products. And then number two is the equipment, refers to the technology, machinery, facilities, and systems necessary to transform the raw material into the product or service. For example, raw materials for the assembly of automobiles. That includes various parts. Now, what are these? Steering wheels, tires, door panels, etc. And equipment used, including robotic welding machines. That's a very good one. And then another one is the human skills, referring to the worker's knowledge and skills and abilities and the efforts necessary to perform the task. So there again, there's three components: raw materials, equipment, and human skills. Now, uh, two of the most important dimensions of structure are centralization and departmentalization. Again, centralization and departmentalization. So what are the differences between the two? Centralization is the degree to which authority resides at the top of the organization, based on the organizational chart. Okay, degree to which authority resides at the top of the chart, organizational chart. While departmentalization refers to the degree to which work units are grouped based upon functionary similarity or similarity of the workflow. A very good example is competing through globalization. So the competition to dominate the market for commercial aviation is the first battle between Airbus and Boeing. So Airbus being European and Boeing is being Americans. For many years, Airbus was viewed to have an unfair advantage due to their partially reduced loans granted to the company by their ventures, respectively, governments, uh, governments in Europe. No, so there. Now, Airbus advantage has been squandered due to struggles managing cross-border coordination and the political strings attached to their reduced loans. For example, non or or non-compatible computer systems with their partners created communication problems that resulted in information being lost in translation. Because yeah, that's it. Now Airbus is now in an uphill battle to try and regain their dominance in the industry because Boeing has made a very good dent in that industry at that time. Okay, now we try to analyze the design of the work. No, two types of structural configuration of organizational structure tend to emerge in an organization or in organizations rather. So what are these? So number one is the functional structure. So what is functional structure? It employs a functional departmentation scheme with high levels of centralization. And functional structures are very efficient. However, they tend to be inflexible and insensitive to subtle differences across products, regions, or clients. So that is the setbacks. However, number two is a divisional structure. Now, it employs a workflow departmentation and low levels of centralization. Because of their workflow focus, their semi-autonomous nature, and their proximity to a homogeneous, now consumer base, divisional structures tend to be more flexible and innovative. However, they're not very efficient as compared to the functional structure. Okay, so these two types of structural configuration of organizational structure tend to emerge, no, in organizations. So there, functional structure and divisional structure. Now, to explain further, no, structure and the nature of jobs. Jobs in functional structures need to be narrow and highly specialized, and people need to work alone. However, jobs in divisional structures need to be more holistic, team-based structure with greater decision making authority. So that's the difference between the two. We try to analyze job analysis, the process of getting detailed information about jobs. So how do we do it? Job analysis has been called the building block of everything that the personnel department does. And some of the human resource activities that choose job analysis information include selection, performance appraisal, training and development, job evaluation, career planning, work redesign, and human resource planning. Now, what is work design? A work design is a firm, a firm will seek to redesign work to make it more efficient or effective. So that is work redesign. There's already an existing plan and design, and then you will have to work on it and amend and change for the better. Now, human resource planning. Planners analyze an organization's human resource needs in a dynamic environment and develop activities that enable the firm to adapt to change. Systems, organizations are, industry are, there's dynamism. Quick changes are inevitable. Now, next is the selection. Now, identifying the most qualified applicants for employment. So that is, no? So the three common, no? Yeah. And then the fourth, training. The trainer identifies the task performed in the job. And performance appraisal, however, is getting information about how well each employee is performing. And then career planning, it's matching an individual's skills and aspirations with opportunities that are or may become available in the organization. And job evaluation, however, is assessing the relative dollar value or peso value for that matter of each job to the organization to set up internally equitable pay structures. Now, what is the importance of job analysis to line managers? Managers must have detailed information about all the jobs in their work group to understand the workflow process. Once it's being done, managers need to understand the job requirements to make intelligent hiring decisions even. And then, since the manager is responsible for ensuring that each individual is performing his job satisfactorily, the manager must clearly understand the task required in every job. Okay? So that is the importance of job analysis to line managers. Now, how about the job analysis information? Okay. A job description is a list of the task, duties, and responsibilities that the job entails. So it's important, no, for the job description to have all those information. Now, a job specification, however, is a list of the knowledge, skills, abilities, and other characteristics that an individual must have to perform the job. Okay? So, for example, job specification for an employment assistant would include a 4-year college degree with major course in human resources or an equivalent combination of experience, education, and training. Number two is considerable knowledge of principles of employee selection and assignment of personnel. Okay, and number three good example is the ability to express ideas clearly in written and oral communication. And then another one is the ability to independently plan and organize one's own activities. Okay, and then the job analysis information would also include sources of job analysis information. So in general, under the analysis and the design of work, it will be useful for the managers to go to the job incumbents to get the most accurate information about what is actually done on the job. However, the incumbents might exaggerate their duties. No, bias. No, that's it. Now, the manager should ask other familiar with the job, such as the supervisor, to look over any information received from the incumbents. And research has shown greater agreements between supervisors and the subordinates when rating general job duties and when rating specific tasks. Also, incumbents may be the best source for accurate estimates of time spent on job tasks given. But supervisors may be more accurate on the importance of job duties. So that's the difference between the two. Now, research is somewhat inconclusive about the relationship between performance level of the job analyst and the job analysis information he or she provides. Now, recent research has shown that effective and ineffective managers tend to give the same job analysis a rating despite their performance level. So again, bias. No, there's a the bias and way of doing things. Now, we now tackle the job analysis methods. So how do we do it? There is this position analysis questionnaire, that has to be promulgated. The position analysis questionnaire, which is PAQ as we call it, is a standardized job analysis questionnaire containing number of items. Recent one was 194 items representing work behavior, work conditions, or job characteristics that are generalizable across the wide variety of jobs. It's generalizable. The items, I think 194 items, are organized into 6 sections. And the job analyst is tasked to rate each item on 6 scales. A computer program generates a job report based on the ratings. So the 6 sections are information input, mental processes, work output, relationship with other persons, job context, and other characteristics. Now, research has indicated that PAQ measures 13 overall dimensions. Knowing the dimension scores provides some guidance regarding the types of abilities that are necessary to perform the job. One of the main problems with the PAQ is that it requires the reading level of a college graduate to complete the questionnaire. So there's a certain leverage of a certain educational skills and requirements that are needed for better comprehensions. Now, the Fleissman Job Analysis, FJAS, Fleissman Job Analysis System. Okay? Now, the Fleischmann Job Analysis System, this approach defines abilities as enduring attributes to individuals that account for differences in performance. The system is based on taxonomy of 52 cognitive, psychomotor, physical and sensory abilities that adequately represent all the dimensions that is relevant to work. Okay, and the Fleischmann scales include behavioral benchmark, examples of the different levels of the ability along a 7-point scale. SMEs indicate the point on the scale that best represent the level of the ability required in a certain job. There's another one, the Occupational Information Network. No? ONET, we call it, no? Occupational Information Network. The U.S. Department of Labor replaced the Dictionary of Occupational Titles in 1998 with ONET, no? So the Occupational Information Network. Because jobs in the new economy were so qualitatively different from jobs in the old economy. And the DOT no longer serves its purpose. No, okay, it's the Department of Labor. Yeah, dictionary. Dictionary of Occupational Titles, DOT, is no longer serving its purpose even, so obsolete. So instead of relying on fixed jobs titles and narrow task description, the ONET uses a common language that generalizes across jobs to describe the abilities, the work style, the work activities, the work content required for various occupations that are most broadly defined. Although it is still being developed, the ONET is already being used by many employers and employment agencies. No, it is also designed to help job seekers even. Now, what is the dynamic elements of knowing the job analysis? Okay. Although we tend to view jobs as static and stable, in fact, jobs tend to change and evolve over time. And the job analysis process must also detect changes in the nature of jobs. Advances in technology have made it hard to keep up with some of the major changes in jobs even. And automation has led to the elimination of certain jobs or the offshoring of tasks or even shifting the task from the worker to the customer, not directly. Now, job design is the process of defining the way work will be performed and the tasks that will be required in a given job. Now, job redesign refers to changing the task or the way work is performed in an existing job. And jobs can be also characterized in different dimension of job design. Okay? Okay, so the job design can be mechanistic approach. Okay, the mechanistic approach to job design has its roots in classical industrial engineering and focuses on designing jobs around the concept of a task specialization, skill simplification, and repetition. Okay, so that is mechanistic approach. The other one is the scientific management. One of the earliest mechanistic approaches sought to identify the best way to perform the job through the use of time and motion studies. Na? So that's scientific management, measuring the time and the motion being delegated to finish the task. Now, another one, mechanistic approach, is the scientific management approach was built upon in later years now and resulted in a mechanistic approach that calls for the job to be designed very simply, and the organization reduces its need for high ability individuals, and the workers are easily replaceable. So a new employee can be trained to perform the job quickly and inexpensively. Okay, so it's not costly even. Okay. Now I'll give you a case about a flawed system for finding bad apples. Okay, so very catchy. It's a very catchy title, and for competing through sustainability in a job. No, a flawed system for finding bad apples. Now, Apple's iPad is a sophisticated piece of technology that is sold at an incredibly low price. That's the Western standard. When concerns surfaced regarding their production factory in China being a sweatshop to keep costs down to consumers, Apple responded by conducting an immediate investigation of the plant. And then, based on Apple's inquiry, it reveals that the plant was indeed in violation of its policies in regards to the dormitory living condition of employees and its failure to pay overtime rates. Now, the events that unfolded at the Apple are not uncommon, actually, and have brought this type of behavior into public scrutiny and focus. Now, the lack of the direct responsibility of Western firms managing offshore factories is appalling, to some viewers, actually. So, that is some of the flaw of the system. Okay? Now, next is the motivational approach. The motivational approach to job design focuses on the job, its characteristic that affects the psychological meaning and motivational potential, and its views at the attitudinal variables as the most important outcomes of job design. And then the prescription of the motivational approach focus on increasing job complexity through job enlargement, and then job enrichment, and the construction of jobs around socio-technical system. Now, a model of how job design affects employees' reaction even, and the job characteristics. We call it the job characteristics model. A model of how job design affects employee reaction. Now, according to this model, jobs can be described in terms of characteristics based on skills variety, task identity, task significance, autonomy, and feedback. Again, 5 characteristics: skills variety, task identity, task significance, autonomy, and feedback. Okay. Now, these 5 job characteristics determine the motivational or motivating potentials of a job by affecting 3 psychological states. What are these? Experience meaningfulness, and then responsibility, and the knowledge of results. So these are, the motivating potential, the psychological states. Okay, when the core job characteristics are high, individuals will have a high level of internal work, motivation, higher quantity and quality of work, and higher level of job satisfaction. So these are the effects of it. Now, much of the work on the job enlargement, job enrichment, and self-managing work teams has its roots in the motivational approach to job design. However, most of the research shows that these interventions increase employee satisfaction and performance quality, but not necessarily increase quantity of performance. So there's a big difference there, and a very good findings, in fact. For example, Alston and Bird of Atlanta have designed the paralegal job so that it entails a great deal of autonomy and clear communication channels between attorneys and paralegals. Now, the result, in an industry where turnover among paralegals averages 20% per year, turnover at Alston and Bird averages 7% per year. Okay? So the firm also received 15,000 applications for the 200 positions available per year. So you could just imagine, so they have a very good track, Alston and Bird of Atlanta. Next is the biological approach. The biological approach to job design comes primarily from the science of biomechanics. When you say biomechanics, it's the study of body movements, and it is usually referred to as ergonomics, or the certain concern with examining the interface between individuals' physiological characteristic and the physical work environment. So the goal of this approach is to minimize the physical strain on the workers by structuring the physical work environment around the body and the way the body works even. For example, Toyota's high-tech Tahara, number 4 line, new electric vehicle carriers were installed to minimize stress on the worker's body. They adjust cars' height at every workstation. And then Toyota reports to a major reduction in turnover during the plant's first year of operation because they adjusted to the comfort of the workers. Now, the biological approach focuses on outcomes such as physical fatigue, aches and pains, and health and complaints. So that is the focus of the biological approach. Now, the approach also has been applied in redesigning equipment to reduce the physical demand so women can perform the jobs and to reduce the occupational illnesses such as carpal tunnel, no? So it's this one, no? Carpal tunnel syndrome, no? Which I'm experiencing even, and many of because of the with, yeah, constant usage of your fingers. Now, perceptual motor approach. Perceptual motor approach. The perceptual motor approach to job design has its own roots in human factors literature and focuses on human mental capabilities and limitations. Now, the goal is to design jobs in a way that ensures that they do not exceed people's mental capabilities. Now, this approach generally tries to improve reliability, safety, and users' reaction by designing jobs that, in a way, uh, reduces the information processing requirements. Now, this approach, similar to the mechanistic approach, generally has the effect of decreasing the job's cognitive demands. And recent changes in technological capabilities hold the promise of helping to reduce job demands and errors. But in some cases, these developments have actually made the problem worse. And this is referred to as absence presence. No? Example, an absence presence is talking on a cell phone while driving a car. No, that's it. Okay. What is the trade-offs among different approaches for job designs? Now, one research study found that job incumbents express higher satisfaction with job scoring highly on motivational approach. However, the motivational and mechanistic approach were negatively related and suggesting that designing jobs to maximize efficiency is likely to result in a lower motivational component to those jobs. Now, jobs redesigned to increase the motivating potential results in higher cost in terms of ability requirements, training, no, is another costly, no, activity, and compensation even. Now, in designing job, it is important to understand the trade-offs inherent in focusing on one particular approach to job design. Okay. So, I guess I have already given some ample information and some learnings about job design, no, and analysis. No, so there, it's really not easy, for a company to be able to come up with the right approaches in the design of work. So you need further analysis on it. So the The learnings that I have imparted to you based on the chapter discussion will give us an idea on how this will be implemented and be operational and be adopted by the industry. Okay, class, thank you so much for listening, and I wish you a good day and be safe. Thank you.